Okay, it's James Maduke speaking, trainingsites.io. Friday morning, this one's kind of an interesting prompting thing for people who are creating online courses. And this is something that I run into all the time. So why I put it together is you're thinking about creating a course or you're starting to use ChatGPT and you're playing around. And I hear people say, I just don't know what to say. I don't know how to ask questions. I don't know what I should be putting into the thing for prompting. I'm creating a course. What do I actually say to ChatGPT? How do I phrase stuff? How do I put it together? Well, to go back and take a look earlier this week, I've kind of introduced a different areas that you might want to consider or to guide you when you're creating your online course content and all your educational material. And the first one was the different styles of prompting. And I talked about conversational prompts, which I'm really a big fan of, role-based prompting, chain of thought prompting, and mega prompts. There's actually another one called meta prompts, which I'm going to cover a little bit later. I also talked about the teach framework, about targeting and making sure that you're adapting and engaging and expanding. There's a whole different thing. I went over teach all the different pieces. But the conversational ones are the ones that I think most online course creators spend a lot of time trying to figure out. And they don't use kind of just structured prompts because you get structured answers when you're using structured prompts. But to really expand things when you're doing your research, it's all about conversing and talking with ChatGPT. So I wanted to cover today 5 special things that you can do or ask when you're talking to ChatGPT that are going to give you a lot better courses. And when I say a lot better courses, I'm talking about natural courses and courses that you can be proud of that don't appear as if they're coming from ChatGPT. So let's take a look at those ones so that you have a good idea of what I want to spend time with here. And I'm just going to pull up my notes here and we'll go over them first thing. So let me write them down first, just so that you have them. And we'll put those ones down and I'll write them down. So this is the, and these are ones that they come naturally, but you may not realize that you're actually doing it. And this is the one that I use all of the time at the start when I'm talking to ChatGPT. And it's the what do you think prompt. Now, don't be afraid to use this. When you're starting out and you give a little bit of context and say, hey, I'm creating a course on how DIY wedding planning, or I'm doing a course on how to write your first ebook. You can just say, look, I'm thinking of writing a book on this particular topic. I want to cover these kind of areas. This is the approach I want to take. Just say, what do you think? What do you think? Get some feedback on it. And I'll do a couple of these just online so you can see it, but it's the what do you think prompt. Don't be afraid to have a conversation just like you're with a real person. What do you think? I got this idea for this. What do you think? What do you think about the main idea here? How would you explain this to someone else? Can you see any problems with this? Is it something that is answering questions that my particular type of students are interested in? What are some new questions that I should think about? So this is just asking an opinion and asking ChatGPT, what do you think? So all you have to do is just tell a little bit of what's going on and then ask, what do you think? The number 2 is, that's at the start. That's the first one. Number 2 actually should be at the end, but I'll put it now because it's a style of prompt. And that one is, my screen just died here, so let's see if I can get this one back online. And there we go. What do you think? I touched the screen in the wrong place. So number 1 is, what do you think? And then the number 1 is, that the best you can do? So you may have been prompting ChatGPT and having a bit of a discussion. And this one is especially helpful when you're creating a syllabus or an outline of a course or any of the course content. So you're getting some stuff back and you look at it and you've tried to make it as authentic as possible. You've tried to cover the areas that you think are important, but what you want to do, in my opinion, is just at the end of every response that you get as a final response, just say, you've come up with this great response. Is that the best you can do? Again, is that your best answer? Think of it as a virtual assistant or another instructor or someone that's working for you. They're giving you a whole bunch of content based on their opinion or their approach or the way that they've responded to your previous prompts, but you're just going to say, hey, is that the very best that you can do? You might do things like saying, is there a simpler way to explain this? You might do something like, can you add more details to this particular response? Or what could be improved in this? But it's just asking for another opinion or another creative way to get some more information for you that can really help. The other one, the third one, the next one is sometimes called a meta prompt, which I have a whole other video on. But really, when I think of it in easy terms to remember, it's kind of the if you were going to create prompt. So this is the if you were going to create, and it's actually let's do this one. It's going to create. So this is the one where if you don't know what to say, or you're not sure what to say, or how to get started, this is just, how you get started with having the tool help you. This is a conversational style, so it's not a structured prompt. It's not a rule that you have to follow. It's just it's a situational conversation one. My students are interested in how to teach or how to do it themselves for wedding planning or how to write a book. If you were going to create a prompt that allowed me to research it, create a lesson plan, finish this lesson, if you were going to do it, how would you put together the prompt? What kind of questions would you ask? What are a list of prompts I should use to get the best answer from you? So it's really all about making sure that if you're stuck or you don't know where to start, you ask the tool, in this case ChatGPT, you just say, hey, what should I do? How should I start? Give me some examples, and then use the examples to start. So it's a question of, again, having a conversation with someone. Don't being so worried about you having to be the expert and you having to be the one that says exactly or knows some kind of formula that you have to follow that's specific. It's a conversation. Just say to ChatGPT, and again, the one thing that's kind of neat, of course, is that we do have the audio prompting. You can use audio prompting, but you can just say, hey, what do you think? What should we do? How should I approach this? Is this a good idea? What do you think? And if it gives you an answer, you're going to say, is this the best you can do? And then finally, you're going to say, based on this, if you were going to prompt it to go on to the next steps, how would you prompt it? Create a prompt for me that I can use moving forward. So those are kind of the first three, are the ones that are what to say ones. The other ones are kind of in the meat or in the middle of your actual work with ChatGPT. And I'm talking about 4, we'll put it in, and hopefully I'll do it small enough here that it all fits. Number 4 is the, let me just, it's like the practical application. And it's more about, give me examples. It's about giving examples. So if you're doing, and I talked about this yesterday and trying to make yourself not sound like a robot when you're working with ChatGPT, but if you are working and you've done all of this stuff in the first 3 steps, if you were going to create prompt, you were doing that stuff about, is this the best you can do? What do you think? You're having this conversation and you're going, okay, I got it. And you have examples of when you think all of this applies. One of the things you can do is you can just say to ChatGPT and just say, Based on all of this that we've discussed, give me some examples of how this fits in with what I'm trying to do. How does this work in the course? How does it work for my students? What is it that my students, give me an example, give me a case study of how this would apply to what I'm trying to get across. So it's a different way of widening or expanding on what it is that you're thinking about when you're creating the course content. So this may even be before you're putting the syllabus together or the actual content, right? So you might say, okay, I got some prompts. If I did create a syllabus based on these 7 points or these 7 lessons, what are some case studies or examples that I can use to show how this applies or to teach this in a better fashion? So that's the practical applications, or the when can I use this? Give me an example prompt. And then the last one that kind of goes with the best you can do, and this is one that I think is really, really important, because that one is, that's the simplification prompt. And this one is really important because when we get kind of carried away with all of this ChatGPT stuff, where we're spending time, we're creating all this content, we're putting it all together, a lot of times you can get lost in the text and the scripts and the examples and the language and everything that's being put into this. At the end of the day, in my opinion, you want to make sure that you say, is this the best you can do? And then the second piece is there an easier way to explain this? Or if my student is a beginner, is that the best way to explain it? Are these the best case studies? Is there another way to take a look at it? More importantly, you want to say something like along the lines of, what is the main takeaway from this? Or if you were a student looking back at this, what would you have learned? Is there an easy way to approach this? Or is that an easy way for them to learn the particular content? You do simple things like saying to ChatGPT, based on the content that you have, just say, hey, what's the one takeaway from this lesson? What did you learn? Is it easy enough? Is it simple enough? Is it something that people can hang their hat on, say, yeah, this was a great lesson. I understood it completely. I got my point across. It's nice and simple. It's something that you can be really proud of. So next time you're thinking about, how am I going to put my course together, and really focusing on things like the syllabus and all of that important stuff, just think about stepping back a little bit and having a conversation again. At this part of doing your research, expanding everything, you're just going to say, if I was going to create a course on this particular topic, what do you think? Okay? What do you think? What should I do? If you're going to create something about this course and you think it's a good idea and it makes sense, how would you create a prompt that I can use to create this part of the course, whether that be the syllabus or the email marketing material or the social media posts or the lesson plans or the learning objectives, any part of that particular course? Just use ChatGPT to create the prompt for you. Okay? You want to ask for some case studies or examples or practical applications of when they can be used. And then at the end, you want to make sure you ask, is this the very best you can do? And more importantly, is there a way to simplify that? So these are 5 things that you want to spend some time with and think about them. I'll put the notes for this below, a link to them. I have a whole library on the trainingsites.io site where I take all of the example prompts that we've used here. I think what I'll do is next time I'll do another video and do some actual examples of how these apply. And more importantly, the reason I'm going to do it is because what I found personally is using all of these different tools that and I'll do this live because it's really, it is interesting to watch and see what happens. But if you use these prompts in ChatGPT and you use identical prompts in Claude, for example, .ai, you get completely different responses. Even though it's the same prompt, it gets different responses in each place. And that's why these kind of wrap up or conversational prompts, I think, are really, really important. It's not about just putting a prompt or a structured prompt in here and getting an answer. It's about flushing things out, making them human, making them real, and making them high quality content that answers the questions your students have, shows them how to get a result that you've promised, and it's something that's engaging and fun to learn by. So, as always, like and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. We do these every day. If you haven't already, make sure to go to trainingsites.io. The other thing is I also have, just so that you know, if you go to trainingsites.io in the bottom there, but you do /AI course, I'll actually create a course with you one-on-one over the next month where we'll use all of these tools, apply them to your particular idea, and end up with a course that you can sell at the end of the period. So if you want to do that, just visit the site. Lots of great information there. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you again maybe tomorrow on Saturday. I don't know if I'm going to do something. I got a lot of stuff on my head, lots of different ideas to share. I'm having a blast with this, and I'm pretty sure you will too once you get into learning about how do I start, build, and grow my education business, and more importantly, using tools like ChatGPT and Claude. Take care. Expect the best.